But what does that mean to the supply chain? So if we look at the impact this is having on the supply chain, the creative, destructive force of technology in action, what does that mean? Well, let's start by looking at various technologies. Let's start with robotics. We opened the conference with a robot, so let's go back to robotics right now. It's affecting a number of different areas, so source, make, and deliver. Let's start with source. So let's start with just digging stuff out of the ground. Now, agriculture's been disrupted by technology throughout the 20th century. 80% of the world's population used to work in agriculture. Now virtually no one does in the developed nations. But it's not finished yet. And actually what is happening is, at the moment, in order to get food products at a price point that meets the consumer demand, most of the people in developed nations don't want to do these jobs, because they usually pay less than the welfare level, and therefore migrant labor is used from other countries to come in and do that. Well, specifically Salina Valley here in California, because they've always believed that there are certain jobs that machines will never be able to do. Perishable fruit, grapes, strawberries, lettuces, things that robots are just too clumsy, never be able to handle. Until now. So robots are now doing the things, again, that we used to think was impossible, that they can't do. They can't tend vineyards. They can't pick lettuces. They can't distinguish between things like weeds and that. Only humans can do that. Only now they can. And we talked about vertical logistics. Well, actually, what's happening as well is that one of the big disruptive factors that are taking place right now is actually agriculture, consumes a lot of land by nature. It needs to consume a lot of land. So what's happening right now is, and this is out in Japan, is that they're saying, do we need the land? Why don't we use vertical farming, lights out farming, robotic? So this is growing lettuce inside a building. So it's effectively created its own biosystem. And in fact, now they're harvesting 30,000 heads of lettuce on a daily basis. And they're doing it in the cities. And what we're seeing out in Korea and Japan is that they're converting part of the offices to sort of effectively a biosphere, where they're growing the vegetation that actually is going into the restaurants, and companies are becoming self-sufficient. So even disrupting the very concept of needing acres of land in order to grow vegetables. Let's talk about shipping. So moving goods. This is Rotterdam.
Giant robots. Almost every machine you now see is controlled by computer. And these high-tech titans' output is staggering. Each loading crane can deadlift 40 tons. Below, the container's chariot awaits. Called an automated guided vehicle, AGV, this car has a mind of its own. Literally. There's no driver because an onboard navigation system regulates its position, direction, even speed by a magnetic grid set into the tarmac. Once the container is loaded on the AGV's back, top-mounted infrared eyes ID the container and instantly roll the load to a preset stacking location, where another giant robot takes over. The stacking crane. Towering 5 stories in the air, this mega machine can grab, haul, and drop the equivalent of 5 school buses. Like the AGV, she takes orders from no man. Every move along her magnetic track is totally pre-programmed. Just like the other 37 cranes. And 370 robotic cars.
So again, the docks was a place where a lot of people used to go to do manual work. They could earn a living there, moving stuff off ships into, not containers in those days, but certainly onto the lorries, whatever. This is a fully automated warehouse. I presented in Melbourne last June, and I presented that video, and the room was full of obviously logistics professionals. Never going to hear, mate. Not going to happen here. The unions will stop that happening. And I said, that's very interesting that you say that, because I'm in Melbourne, because you might not have seen the headlines, but your dock's about to be fully automated. In fact, all of your docks are planned to be fully automated, and the Indian ones, Chinese, Abu Dhabi, US. And in fact, now even Nigeria, places like Nigeria, realizing they have to, to keep up, to be effective, they have to take this level of automation and fully automate the port. So it's now a worldwide race to automate.